guys, and thank you for tuning here to another video on the channel. We're here at the Hoover Dam. We're here going to be taking the hydro tour for the hydro plant. You guys stay tuned, keep watching this video, and you guys will get to see we're usually going to go down and see the turbines and stuff like that, so you guys can see how they work.
Ways to tame the Colorado through the engineering skills of the Bureau of Reclamation. But with 7 states disputing how much of the river's water each could claim, construction of a dam, any dam, was only a dream. But in 1921, Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover joined representatives from the 7 states to seek out a solution to equal water rights. Hoover proposed to simply divide the area into a lower and upper basin and leave further negotiations to the states within those basins. This compromise paved the way for the Boulder Canyon project to be constructed. And in 1931, the structure that would one day bear Hoover's name began with an explosion. Not only of black powder and dynamite, but one of human tenacity and ingenuity. It was the largest single contract awarded to that time by the federal government. It took the combined resources of 6 companies, forged into a single contracting entity, to undertake the mammoth project. But before the first shovel of earth could be removed, the Colorado River had to be diverted from its timeless path. The key was to cut 2 tunnels through the canyon walls on each side of the river, each 56 feet in diameter and approximately 4,000 feet long. The 4 tunnels took 2 years to complete. With the tunnels open and cofferdams in place, the Colorado River had no choice but to leave its riverbed and flow through the man-made corridors. With the river diverted, steam shovels dug through as much as 135 feet of silt, mud, and gravel to reach bedrock. And there, Hoover Dam began as a simple square wooden form filled with concrete, followed by more than 3 million cubic yards of concrete over the next 2 years. Add the adjoining structures, and enough concrete was placed to build a 4-foot wide sidewalk around the Earth's equator. Heat from the setting concrete was predicted to take more than 100 years to cool, but engineers fashioned 1-inch steel pipe inside each concrete block before it was poured. A refrigeration plant so massive it could produce a 1,000-ton iceberg every day continuously pumped cold water through the pipes, cooling the concrete so construction was never interrupted. This innovative idea helped the entire structure be completed in just 5 years, 2 years ahead of schedule. Hoover Dam was built with 5 million barrels of cement, 18 million pounds of structural steel, 21 million pounds of gates and valves, and 840 miles of pipe. The scale of some of the equipment was beyond the capacity of American highways and railroads. The pipes that would carry water from the reservoir to the generators were so large they could not be shipped, so a manufacturing plant was created to build them at the site. An infrastructure of highways, railroad tracks, and power lines had to be created to move men and materials from outlying areas to the dam site and to supply electricity for construction. An entire town was needed to house the workers who were pouring in from all over America in the midst of the Great Depression. The project averaged 3,500 workers a day, working 3 shifts, 7 days a week with only 2 days off a year. The pay scale started at $4 a day, a good wage in the midst of the Great Depression sweeping America. Amid the country's economic uncertainty, the workers in this canyon gave new life to the nation's spirit, as they gave new life to the desert Southwest.
This is an engineering victory of the first order, another great achievement of American resourcefulness, American skill, and American determination. And that is why I have the right once more to congratulate you who have builded Boulder Dam, and on behalf of the nation, to say to you, well done.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt dedicated Boulder Dam on September 30th, 1935. In 1947, Congress officially named it Hoover Dam. Some call it the most prodigious engineering construction feat since the Great Pyramids of Egypt. When a U.S. Senate committee endorsed construction of Hoover Dam in 1928, its report said, "A mighty river, now a source of destruction, is to be curbed and put to work in the interests of society." And so it was. Hoover Dam brought the desert flood control, a reliable supply of water, electrical power, and more. Behind a 726-foot-tall concrete face lies Lake Mead, America's largest man-made lake. Born out of the collected waters of the Colorado River, it could cover the entire state of Pennsylvania to the depth of 1 foot. But held behind Hoover Dam, it is a life-giving source for communities throughout the Southwest. On its way to meet downstream needs, thousands of gallons of water per second flow from Lake Mead to the dam's 17 giant turbines, producing clean, non-polluting hydroelectric power. Hoover Dam produces almost 4.5 billion kilowatt hours of electricity each year, enough to serve the needs of over 1 million people. The sale of this power has repaid the entire cost of constructing Hoover Dam and continues to fund the yearly operating and maintenance costs as well. Hoover Dam helped ensure a future for the communities that settled along the river and the low, flat valleys of Southern California and Southwest Arizona. In Las Vegas, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and other smaller cities, Colorado River water delivered from Lake Mead helps meet the needs of millions of people a year. Hoover Dam and other dams along the Colorado River contain the floodwaters spawned each spring by melting snows, and from their reservoirs flows an assured and reliable water supply for water users throughout the basin. Combined with the warm climate and rich soils of the lower Colorado River basin, water from Lake Mead has created some of the most productive farmland in the country. Farms in Arizona, Southern California, and Mexico, irrigated by these controlled flows, produce over $1 billion worth of vegetables and fruits throughout the year for dinner tables across the nation. The clear reservoirs and controlled river stretches resulting from construction of Hoover and other dams have created year-round recreational opportunities at the National Park Service's Lake Mead Recreation Area and other locations along the Colorado River. Hoover Dam first helped create and now helps sustain the high quality of life enjoyed by millions of people in the desert Southwest. At Hoover Dam and its other projects throughout the West, the Bureau of Reclamation is focused on efficient, effective, environmentally sensitive water resources management to help ensure our limited water supplies can meet the needs of all who depend on them. Wherever the system delivers water, life flourishes. Herbert Hoover, engineer, humanitarian, politician, fisherman, and conservationist, believed, as did many others, in a vision where man could affect nature for the good. With every touch of its coarse, concrete skin, and each sparkle that dances behind its crown, Hoover Dam reminds us of the need to dream noble purposes and the strength of the human spirit to achieve great aspirations.
Go ahead. Ladies first, ladies first. Alright guys, we're underground right now and we're here 535 feet. And we're taking the tour right now through the hydro plant. As you can see, nobody has cell service down here, so no cell service, guys. That's how cheap we are.
I'm good. Yep. Thank you.
Sorry about my gimbal, guys, a little bit. But here's where the turbines are. As you can see, barely any water flow. You can literally feel the rumble underneath.
That's pretty cool. I'll tell you what that is in just a minute, that vibration, prior to guess. But let me first tell you guys, on this diagram, I'll kind of tell you where we are and give you an explanation how this is all working. But first of all, we're standing right here. So to give you a reference, we're standing right here, which is one of your 4 original diversion tunnels. Now, before Lake Mead was here, before the dam was here, the Colorado River ran from right to left on this diagram. So this is Black Canyon. And how did they build all this in the middle of the Colorado River? Well, the first thing they had to do was to literally move the river. They had to get the water out of the way so they could start to build this. So the very first thing they did was they blasted these 4 tunnels. And these are diversion tunnels like the one we're standing in right now. Each one of these is roughly 3/4 of a mile long. They're 50 feet in diameter for a total of about 3 miles of this tunnel system. It took about 2 years to build those. Excuse me. When they were done building those, they built 2 cofferdams. Now, a cofferdam is basically a temporary dam. So there was one right here that was about 100 feet tall. This allowed the water to now go into these diversion tunnels and around the construction site. Down here, there was a cofferdam that was built to prevent backflow, so the water wouldn't start coming back up into the work site. Once it all started to dry out, they came in, they dug all that silt and debris on the bottom of the riverbed, about 135 feet of silt. Once they hit bedrock, they had the foundation to start building the dam. Now, the construction of the dam started in 1933. There were cables that went all up and down this canyon that lowered the concrete bucket after bucket 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 2 years. Now there is 6.6 million tons of concrete in the dam, and if you heard it in the movie upstairs, there's enough concrete in this entire site to build a sidewalk all the way around the earth at the equator. Now as they were nearing the completion of the dam, they started plugging up some of these tunnels. So the 2 right here and the inner one here were plugged. 250-foot thick concrete plugs and steel gates on the end, which allowed the lake to start to fill up. This tunnel up here stayed open so that there was still a way for the river to get downstream while they were building. Once the water got high enough to go into the 4 intake towers, that was when they sealed up that final diversion tunnel. Now, today the water goes into these 4 intake towers. If you've been up on the dam, or if you go up there later, you look over the back, you'll see those 4 towers. Those are the intake towers. They're 395 feet tall. You're only seeing about half of them. There's still a lot of it down below the water. And they're on ledges in the sides of the canyon, so to give you an idea how big those things are. But that's what the water goes into. After it goes into those, it goes down a huge pipe like that one. So this is a 30-foot diameter penstock. And what you were feeling, that vibration, I think they just opened up one of the generators, because the water can go up to 96,000 gallons a second through that pipe. That can fill up an Olympic-sized swimming pool in about 6.6 seconds. All right, so after, and that's what the vibration was for sure. So I have a feeling they just opened up some more generators. We'll see when we get up there. But once the water goes through that, it's getting into smaller pipes down here where the water gets more velocity. It spins the turbines down here in the generators, creates the power, and then the water is released down here in the lower river. Now this cofferdam I mentioned, they had to get rid of it because they wanted the water to flow freely downstream, so they blasted that one out of here. But the upper cofferdam, that's still there. That's at the bottom of Lake Mead. There was no point in spending time and money getting rid of it because they knew it was going to eventually be covered in water. Now, as far as water and filling up Lake Mead, it took over 6 years for Lake Mead to completely fill up. The way they designed this is in a time of a flood to keep and prevent the water from going over the dam and destroying all this, the water goes into these 2 spillways. So the spillways are 27 feet below the top of the dam. So if the water is getting to capacity, it first goes into those spillways, it fills them up, it goes down a huge tube that connects with those old diversion tunnels, and the water comes out way down here downriver. Again, not going over the dam and destroying the power plant and everything below. So 1941 was the first time, that was when the lake was first filled, and that was when the water went into the spillways for the first time, and they were able to test out the spillway system and see if everything worked. But not until 1983 did it ever look like this. So this is from 1983. For over 2 months, the water was within feet from the top of the dam. This is one of the spillways, and each one of these spillways can hold the same water flow as Niagara Falls. So there are basically 2 Niagara Falls going off there at once. There were a lot of different factors, mostly snowpack in the Colorado Rocky Mountains. The majority of the water that comes down the Colorado River is coming from the Rocky Mountains. So that year they had a lot of extra snow, and that's why this drought, you probably heard about the drought rate right now. It's very low. We're not getting enough snow up in the Colorado Rocky Mountains, and the population has really grown in the Southwest. There's just a lot of different reasons why it is. Right now it is at the lowest it's ever been, but the dam is still doing everything it was intended to do. Still producing power, still providing water for the whole Southwest. But we definitely need Mother Nature to start pumping some snow up into the Colorado Rocky Mountains to ever get it. Probably not quite that high. We don't really want it quite that high again, but if we can get up to another 100 feet, that would be great. But we need water and snow from the Rocky Mountains, so that's what we're waiting for. But give me 1 second. I'm going to go over the stairs, and then we're going to go down the hallway. We're going to go up to the power plant, all right? So this is natural water seepage. We're in the canyon. Now, this is all volcanic rock. This is all andesite. But it's volcanic. Now, this was the original access tunnel that the workers used. So where we were down there, that was one of the original diversion tunnels we were seeing. And then they basically built those penstocks in the diversion tunnel. So they utilized all this stuff. That's why they made the original diversion tunnel into part of the spillway system, part of the penstock. So they planned this stuff obviously way in advance. But yeah, so this is one of the access tunnels. But all this water here, there's a lot of water pressure down here. There's a lot of water springs, and the water just finds its way through these cracks and makes its way into these canyons. And all this water is drained. There's drains all over there. It goes down to the bottom of the dam, and then they pump all the water into the lower part of the river. So there's just so many gallons every day of this water seepage that they collect, but it's all pumped back down into the lower part of the river. But the white stuff is calcium, so you'll see a lot of this calcium around here. And same thing up on Lake Mead. When you look out there, you see that white ring around it. That's where the water was basically in that photo I showed you back in '83. It was actually just a little bit higher than that, the water. But they call that the bathtub ring. You think about leaving the bathtub filled up and it starts to evaporate. They probably leave a calcium ring around it. That's essentially what happened out there. Yeah, calcium, these are just basically keeping us from getting wet. Only the finest, right? Finest products. But it works, right?
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the elevator. Anybody have any other questions or anything? Anyone? Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, guys, this is amazing.
Well, so this dam is an arch gravity dam, which is it's pushing into the canyon. The way they built it, it goes into the canyon. So all that is basically it's gravity fed, and it's so the pressure is going down, pushing into the mountain. So because I saw some like videos, like renderings of how if they would have built it flat, it would have definitely flopped. But it's definitely, from what I've seen, it probably pushes in a lot from where it was originally, like the original arch of it or whatever.
All right, guys, we'll get back to the bottom. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, we exit the elevator. Now we're going in through the tunnel, and literally. This is where all the magic happens, guys.
And we'll walk inside of the data and the power plant. Now, as you look directly ahead of us, the first one is, of course, one of those big red commercial generators. There are 9 of these over on the Arizona side, for a total of 17. And each one of these is 70 feet tall. However, as you look at them, you're only seeing the top 30 feet. They're still 40 feet down below the floor. That's where the turbine is working below. On the top, you will see a letter, a number, and maybe a light on it. At the very end, I see 5 lights on. Those are the ones that are currently in operation. And just for that, over on the Arizona side, the 8 for Arizona, so we have 8, 1 from 9 over there.
See, we have, those are the 5 right there that are left.
That was the final generator to go online and into production. That was back in 1961. Now, each one of these has a rotor spinning inside 180 revolutions per minute. Each one can produce up to 130 megawatts of electricity, which is enough for up to 100,000 homes. And in an average year, this entire power plant produces enough power for over 1 million homes for California, Arizona, and Nevada. Now, if you look down at the floor of the power plant, there's a silver rail that surrounds a smaller red generator. That's called a tilted water wheel. There's one here, and there's one of these over on the Arizona side. Each one of these can produce up to 2.4 megawatts of electricity, and these are how we're getting the in-house power. So everything here, from the lights to the elevators we're using to the microphone I'm speaking on, they're all being powered in-house by our 2 tilted water wheels. Now, just above end number 1, you see the American flag hanging from a crane. That is a P&H bridge crane. There's one there, and you can see there's another one down at the end of the power plant. Each one of those rides along a track that spans the entire length of the power plant. And each one of those can lift up to 300 tons. Now, to put that in perspective, the Statue of Liberty over in New York weighs about 225 tons. So one of these can easily lift up the Statue of Liberty. But some of this equipment here weighs a lot more than that. If you look directly down below us, you will see a rotor right there. That is the rotor from end number 3. That's why as you look down there, you don't see the E3. That's the rotor that they were working on. And once that is fully reassembled with all of its electromagnets, those can weigh close to 600 tons. So what they do is they take both of our bridge cranes, put them together, make it into a super crane, and they can then lift up to 600 tons. That is how they're able to move all this heavy equipment around this power plant to work on. Now, if you turn around and get a perspective of where we're standing, if you look back here at this wall, the other side of this wall is the beginning of Hoover Dam. So Hoover Dam is 726 feet tall, and it is 660 feet thick at the base. That is basically 2 American football fields right next to each other, end to end, of solid concrete. An easier way to visualize this is from the same wall, all the way to that wall at the end of the power plant. That's 650 feet. So you still got to add 10 feet to this room, and that is how thick the dam is at the base. At the height we are currently standing, from this same wall to the beginning of Lake Mead, there's about 450 feet of solid concrete between us. And now finally, if you look down the floor that we are standing, so this is a marble terrazzo floor. This was custom made in 1937. Over 121,000 square feet of the facility have this marble terrazzo flooring. This is 3.5 inches thick. Back then it cost $59,000 to do this. Today this would be millions of dollars. There was an artist named True who designed all of these buildings like this one I'm standing on. So he studied a lot of Native American cultures, southwestern type baskets and pottery and so forth. And that's how he got the ideas for his designs. This one right here looks a lot like a turbine spinning through the water. There's another one over there on the main small one that looks like an old 2-prong electrical outlet. There are over 120 inlays all throughout this facility that were designed by this gentleman named True. By the way, is anybody here from Wyoming? There's a license plate in Wyoming. They have a Bucky Longhorn. Designed that and designed a lot of the murals in Colorado, and just a number of places. This gentleman helps True. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to meet you at that door, and we'll go back to the same hallway. But I'll meet you back now.
Well, guys, this is the tour. If you come down to the Hoover Dam, this is the tour you get. This is, you heard them. They're servicing this turbine right here. like you saw, he said the ones that have the light on the top are the ones that are working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 turbines left working. So all right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of the tour of the Hoover Dam. Thank you guys for tuning in to another one. We'll try to do some more stuff here soon. I'm sorry if the video was a little wonky. You know, I'm still trying to figure it out, especially with this gimbal. But remember to hit the like button. And remember, if you're not a subscriber, you should subscribe. Even though this channel was mainly for cellular tech, you know, we are still covering in depth of what's going on here at the lake with Lake Mead and the whole water levels with the Hoover Dam. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you're always notified when we upload content, guys. All right, guys, so after the tour downstairs with the hydro plant, then you come down here, and this is an exhibit that they have. And literally, literally a touchscreen, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yup.
Are located southeast of Las Vegas, Nevada. The dam was designed in the late 1920s by
That's what it would be like inside one of those generators. That's pretty cool. This is a model scale of the dam when they're building it.
Underscores of tons of muck.
They just, I love how they
They're dramatizing it.
they want just to poison the water.
But most of the fellas ain't never worked construction, never mind built a dam. Some ain't never done a lick of that before, especially not in this kind of heat. Remember that piano player from St. Louis? The first few weeks by the Vegas, his hands were all torn up and green, but he came back in pretty.
right, guys, and that was it. That's the whole tour with going underneath. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. All right, guys, thank you for everything. Like I said, remember to hit the like button. Remember to subscribe. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're always notified when we upload content. And any small indicated monetary donations are also greatly appreciated. And thank you to all the channel members for donations and for literally everything. And thank you, Ricky, for that cup of coffee, or buy a coffee donation. All right, we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Peace. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you're always notified when we upload content. Have a great one. Peace.